Good morning, everyone. I'll start with the video presentation followed by my
Karaparambu Government High Secondary School. ഈ സ്കൂൾ പൂർണ്ണമായിട്ടും അടച്ചുപൂട്ടലിൻ്റെ വക്കിലെത്തിയ ഒരു സ്കൂളായിരുന്നു. വിശേഷിച്ച് ഇവിടുത്തെ പണ്ടുകാലത്ത് ഒരുപാട് കുട്ടികൾ പഠിച്ച വിദ്യാലയമായിരുന്നു. പക്ഷേ പിന്നീട് ഇവിടുത്തെ അസൗകര്യങ്ങളും അനാകർഷകമായ അന്തരീക്ഷമൊക്കെ കാരണം കുട്ടികളുടെ എണ്ണമൊക്കെ വളരെ കുറഞ്ഞു. ആരും വിദ്യാർത്ഥികളെ സ്കൂളിൽ ചേർക്കാതായി. അങ്ങനെ കോഴിക്കോട് നോർത്ത് അസംബ്ലി മണ്ഡലത്തിൽ നടപ്പിലാക്കുന്ന ഒരു സവിശേഷ വിദ്യാലയ വികസന പദ്ധതിയായിട്ടുള്ള പ്രിസം പദ്ധതിയിൽ ഉൾപ്പെടുത്തിയാണ് ഞങ്ങൾ വികസിപ്പിച്ചത്. പ്രതിഭാവിശേഷത്തിനും വളർന്ന് വികസിക്കാൻ അരങ്ങൊരുക്കുന്ന ഒരു അന്തരീക്ഷ സൃഷ്ടിയാണ് വിദ്യാലയത്തിൻ്റെ വികസനം എന്നതുകൊണ്ട് പ്രിസം പദ്ധതി വിഭാവനം ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ സൗകര്യവും സൗന്ദര്യവും സാങ്കേതിക വിദ്യയും ഒത്തിണങ്ങിയിട്ടുള്ള ഒരു അന്തരീക്ഷ സൃഷ്ടിയാണ് ഇവിടെ യഥാർത്ഥത്തിലുണ്ടായത്.
ആദ്യം കുറേ ഞങ്ങൾ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടിനി. അവിടെ ഷെഡ് കെട്ടിയപ്പോൾ അവിടെ കുട്ടികൾ വന്ന് ലൈൻ നിൽക്കലേന് വിറക് കത്തിക്കലേന് ഭയങ്കര ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടായിരുന്നു. കത്തിക്കാൻ വിറകിലേറ്റൊക്കെ ഞങ്ങൾ പെറുക്കി കൊണ്ടുവന്ന് കത്തിക്കലൊക്കെ ആയിരുന്നു. മക്കൾ മുറ്റത്ത് ഇങ്ങനെ വെയിലത്ത് നിന്ന് ലൈനിൽ നിന്ന് വാങ്ങിക്കൊണ്ടാകലേന്. എന്നിട്ട് മക്കൾ അവിടുന്ന് മുറ്റത്ത് നടന്നൊക്കെ തിന്നലായിരുന്നു. ഇപ്പം ഇങ്ങോട്ട് വന്നപ്പോൾ എല്ലാ സൗകര്യങ്ങളും ഉണ്ട്. ഇരുന്ന് തിന്നാൻ ടേബിളും ഒക്കെ ഉണ്ട്.
അവർക്ക് ഓടിക്കളിക്കാനും ഒളിച്ചിരിക്കാനും ഒഴുകി നടക്കാനും ഒക്കെയുള്ള സ്പേസുകളാണ്. അങ്ങനെ സ്പേസിൻ്റെ സവിശേഷ രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു സമന്വയമാണ് യഥാർത്ഥത്തിൽ ഈ ക്യാമ്പസ് രൂപകൽപ്പനയിലൂടെ ആർക്കിടെക്ട്സ് നിർവഹിച്ചിരിക്കുന്നത് എന്നുള്ളതാണ്.
കുട്ടികളെ സംബന്ധിച്ച് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അവരുടെ ഒരു ആറ്റിറ്റ്യൂഡ് വളരെയധികം മാറിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഒരു കുട്ടി പോലും സ്കൂളിൽ ഗ്ലാസ് പൊട്ടിക്കുകയോ അതുപോലെ ചുമരിൽ എഴുതി വയ്ക്കുക അങ്ങനെയൊന്നും ആരും ചെയ്യാറില്ല. കാരണം കുട്ടികളെല്ലാം ഇത് സ്വന്തം സ്കൂളായിട്ടങ്ങ് മനസ്സിലാക്കിയിട്ടുണ്ട്.
ഞാനിപ്പോൾ പുറത്തെവിടെയെങ്കിലും പോയി ഏത് സ്കൂളാണെന്ന് ആരെങ്കിലും ചോദിച്ചാല് കാരപ്പറമ്പ് സ്കൂളാണ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ എന്താണ് അവർ പറയും, സ്കൂള് കാരപ്പറമ്പ് സ്കൂളൊക്കെ ഇപ്പൊ അടിപൊളിയായല്ലോ, പണ്ടിങ്ങനെ നല്ലായിരുന്നല്ലോ എന്നൊക്കെ പറയും.
ഈ ഒരു അന്തരീക്ഷം യാഥാർത്ഥ്യമായതോടുകൂടെ തന്നെ ഇവിടുത്തെ കുട്ടികളുടെ മനോഭാവത്തിൽ മാറ്റമുണ്ടായി. ഒരുപാട് കുട്ടികൾ അഡ്മിഷൻ കൂടുതലായിട്ട് വന്നു. നേരത്തെ എല്ലാവരും അവഗണിച്ചിരുന്ന ഈ വിദ്യാലയത്തിൽ ധാരാളമായി കുട്ടികൾ വന്നു ചേരുന്നു. രക്ഷാകർത്താക്കളുടെ ആത്മവിശ്വാസം, കുട്ടികളെ സ്കൂളിലേക്ക് അയക്കാനുള്ള അവരുടെ ഒരു കോൺഫിഡൻസ് ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, അത് വലിയ നിലയിൽ വർദ്ധിച്ചു. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ക്യാമ്പസിൽ നിന്നിപ്പോൾ കേവലം പരീക്ഷയെ പാസ്സാവുന്ന കുട്ടികൾ മാത്രമല്ല ഉണ്ടാവുന്നത്. പല മേഖലകളിൽ പ്രതിഭ തെളിയിക്കുന്ന കുട്ടികൾ ഓരോ വർഷവും കൂടി വരുന്ന സാഹചര്യമാണ് ഇപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ ഉള്ളത്.
So that's the 100-year school at the verge of shutdown in 2015, and the reason was quite obvious: the poor infrastructure, the inadequate classrooms, lack of toilets, no drinking facilities, and no secure spaces. And this is the condition of most of the schools in our government schools in our country. So why this particular situation exists in our country? And we all know the education is not our privilege but our right. So why shouldn't our schools be better? Why are they excluded? Why are they denied to access to quality education? So there's always an imbalance between society when it comes to public schooling. So as we architects, can we be the agent of change? Can architecture blur the lines that divide the society? So we wanted to break this stereotype in public schooling through architecture. That's how we approached the design. And when we started designing the school, we didn't want the school just be a school. It should be a community space so that the people from the neighborhood can use the space for different purposes. So that's the context of the school. It's 50 meters from the Karaparambur Junction. And that's the different views showing the library and the seminar hall used for collaborative learning. That's the front arena. We intentionally kept it open for the students to gather. The different views, the grand entry to the administration block, So like I said, it's not just a government school, it's used for used as a community space. So you can see political discussions happening in the internal indoor court, music concerts happening in the front arena, public discussions happening in the dining area, even weddings happens during the weekends, workshops happening in the courtyards, symposiums, international conferences where eminent personalities had visited. Even the live shows had happened there. The same stage has been used by the Kudumbashree lady to dry her chilies. So that's the Kudumbashree kitchen happening parallelly with the school. Art expos also happens there. Even the school is envisaged as a disaster shelter. That's an insight we took from 2018 flood disaster. But for the students, what makes a school unique? So there are certain key elements we kept in design which resulted in valuable solutions. So first is the dining area where the students can sit there and even same time they can borrow the nature inside. These are the different views with the indoor court over the dining area. That's a library block. We have what you see in the foreground is the platform, but that's not a platform. That's a rain harvesting unit. We didn't want to keep the rain harvesting unit as such, but we intentionally designed it as a stepped area so that students can have a gathering and have a dialogue between. And even all the doors we kept it pivoted so that there's the students can move seamlessly. Another interesting factor is the openings, the windows. The openings can be used as a window as well as a balcony. That's a view of the window come balcony. This is an installation we did in the transition area so that the students can use it as for studying, gathering, even they can lay down and then read the books. The another integration is, another interesting thing we did is we didn't cut any trees there. Even we didn't cut the trees, we integrated the trees within the design. So you can see the tree between the stage, you can see the tree in the veranda, you can see the stage in the ramp. Another thing is, interesting thing we designed is, we designed a blackboard in the toilet so that the students can express their thoughts in the toilets. That's a urinal. This is a washroom where there was a tree and we wanted to retain the tree and we designed a courtyard around the toilet. The courtyard, the toilets are designed around the courtyard. This is another, we designed a classroom for the disabled, specially abled kids, for the students. That is the basketball court. What you see here is a basketball court, but once it was a city's dump yard, we spoke to the mayor and we cleared all the debris there, and now the designated area changed into a very successful public space for the for the people to play there. So that's the design principles we kept in mind while designing. That's the school, the old school in 2016. That's how the school has emerged in 2019. And that's the exploration of form. So that's the power of architecture. We can break any stereotype in architecture through our design. And one school to 100 schools. In the year 2020, the Kerala Chief Minister had announced another 100 schools with the same prison concept. Thank you.
Let's move on to the discussion.
This is a very interesting idea of a place of learning. More so because there's a certain porosity in the project, and because a conventional school is about classrooms, and here there is a certain porosity where the spaces then can be appropriated or used in the manner required. I would be more curious to know, because one part of the presentation showed that within the school, the definition changes because there could be a political meet or a discussion, there can be a music function, there can be, so even the city is coming into the school at times and going. I'm curious to understand in that shift. It's stated in a very indirect way, but if it could be made clearer, in that shift, what did you observe as the kind of influence of change that happens in a student or in a student community in relationship to the architecture of the place? If you have, this is an intuitive question, because there was a school of a certain kind, and it was box, room, and then people, no infrastructure. And now we are presenting an architecture of a place of learning. So what influence have you seen in the students from 2015 to inhabiting a space of this kind? If there are, I'm just curious to know.
First thing, the students started taking pride of the school. Before they were neglected even in the line bus, they were always neglected. But then now when the public started identifying the students from the school, they started getting all the pride from the. There's a huge transition from before and after. And even when you spoke about the other functions in the school, it happens in the off hours of the school. It's not happening simultaneously. Even the weddings, even the political discussions, it happens in the off hours of the school. Yeah.
I don't have a question, but I just wanted to share that when I went to visit the school, what was really striking is that design and architectural intervention wasn't overpowering at all. It was just sort of subdued. Even though it's very beautiful in the photographs, you actually feel that there's a strong presence of architecture. But when you're actually there in the school, experiencing the many different kinds of spaces there, architecture is not overpowering. It's just facilitates a great sense of belonging, activities, etc. You could just feel it while I was there, So I'd like to share I'd like to ask you also to share your experience of designing in this sort of, designing in a way which required you to put students at the front, teachers at the front, and a whole range of other types of philosophies that the school is backed by in the front, as opposed to architecture itself. So what did you have to do to sort of adapt your thinking?
When we approached this project, the most challenging part is being a government school, it was very difficult to convey the design to the authorities. But then we had a very visionary politician with us. So because of him only we could achieve this dream. And I think in our state, it's not, we don't lack any designers in the state. It's what we want is a very visionary politicians. So if we have a very visionary politicians and designers together, we can do wonders. That's what I believe.
If I just take on that answer and extend it a little bit more and ponder on the last part of your presentation, which says from 1 to 100. And this particular project is so embedded with that particular location, with those people, that patron, all of that. And yet, like, we recognize that one is just a beginning, right? If you had to extract learnings out of this and make a guidebook for the other 100 schools, because you cannot deal with all the 100, right?
Yeah.
And yet, there has to be something from this which has to percolate into those 100. What are those things that you will say will become part of that?
I think we had achieved all things, but then one thing we could have added in this particular project is a gender neutral toilet.
My question is not what you didn't do. My question is, what are the few things that you think all the other 100 schools must do that you have already done?
The same thing. This is a message to all the schools, I think.
Articulate, say 3.
You have to make a guidebook and give it to them. You are not going to make presentations everywhere. A book of recommendations or a book of guidelines. That's your next task. Your next project is a book of guidelines to be given to the 99 other schools. What would you put in that?
A space, it can be, I think a space should be multifunctional. It shouldn't be confined to a particular function. It should be a multi-purpose. Even if you see any buildings in the state, during the working hours it's used, but then after off hours it's not used. So why can't we use it for multi-purpose activities? That's what I think. Yeah. Thank you.